Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this episode, I'll be teaching you how to colour these cookies using 3 different mediums. I've got my white fondant to begin with, and I'm just rolling it out with some corn flour on there. Rolling it out to about 2 to 3 millimeters in thickness. You don't want it to be too thick. I've got my stencil here, and I've got my buttercream. And I made my buttercream in that little cup because you don't really need too much. And I'll leave the recipe for that in the description box below. I'm holding that stencil down with one of my hands there, and I'm applying it, the buttercream, with a spatula. I'm going to make sure to press on it pretty firmly because you don't want it moving around. And once I've filled in all those crevices, I'm going to remove the excess buttercream there. And the first medium here I'm using is just some edible luster dust, which is like a food colour sort of thing. Dabbing it on there with a brush, and dabbing because the buttercream is moist. So if you were to kind of brush it on, you might remove the buttercream, or you might wet that brush, and applying the powders becomes a bit more difficult. So just dab it on with whatever colours you like, and then gently remove your stencil. And that's what it looks like when you use powders. I've got my circle cutter here, the same size as my shortbread cookies, and I'm cutting just the design section that I think would look nice on the cookie and removing the rest. Then I'm going in with some powdered colours again. This is again luster dust, and I'm just adding a little bit of alcohol, and that's just some vodka that I've used. I'm going to rub it in with my brush until it creates a fine paste, or really a thick paste. Then again, just dabbing that on the areas that you'd like. And using that buttercream in between those crevices in your stencil helps to make a much sharper image as well. So I'll remove that. You can see it's a lot crisper, a lot sharper. Again, cut wherever you like. And next I'll go in with my airbrush. And the good thing about the airbrush is that you can shade really easily. So for example, if I wanted to make the flower much darker in the center, I can do that. And you'll notice I'm working in very small circular motions when I'm using my airbrush as well. And it gives you a lot more control too, compared to your powders or your paints. And as you can see here, it's a lot sharper. Then I'll cut around the area that I want. And then to apply those onto my cookies, I'm using edible glue, which is just glucose syrup and water mixed together. I'm going to position my stenciled fondant just on top and lightly press it down. And there's 3 ways that you can decorate your cookies using stencils. Personally, out of these 3, while I would usually go with the airbrush being my favorite, I actually really like the way the painted luster dust look on this. This is a little bit too grainy for me, maybe a little too aged or distressed looking. While this one's nice and crisp and it's sharp and it's very attractive, your eye is just drawn to it. At the same time, I really like the really subtle, kind of clean pastel look of this middle cookie. Having said that though, with the airbrush you do get a lot more control. For example, those little dots that were in there, I was able to colour those in with very minimal kind of overspray into my little flourish here. Whereas on these, you probably wouldn't be able to do, or at least have as much control, and there'll be a lot more blending of colours if you were to use paint. Same goes for your powders as well. But yeah, there's 3 different ways of doing it. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and try it out yourself. Again, I would definitely recommend using buttercream with stencils. Just makes for a much cleaner, much crisper image, and it also helps the stencil to stay in place as well.